It's another session, guys, and this has been an awesome day of learning. Today, we have from Galena Park ISD, Jeanette. Jeanette has been just awesome. I'm already excited
Woohoo!
because she is going to help us really embrace how helping and managing things for our English language learners to improve what they're actually able to do with communication skills and how technology really helps play a dramatic role in that. So, guys, I want you to guess what? I hope you've already refilled your drinks, got some popcorn, sit back, got your notepad out, snapshots, whatever you're going to take, because you are going to definitely want to have some things ready to actually engage with what she's going to share with you. So, this is going to be kind of an interactive session. So, I want you to be ready for it. So, with no ado, this is Miss Jeanette.
All right. Hi, everybody. I'm super excited about this. I've been going to TCCA for a few years, but I always kept running across the same problem of not having the tools that I thought that my secondary ESL students needed. So it kind of prompted me and a few of my other North Shore peeps to come up with some ideas. And that's what started this whole thing for. So if you'll go ahead, I'm just going to kind of jump in because I know we have time limits today. If you go ahead and start showing the presentation, I'd really appreciate that. And okay, and if there's any really big questions, y'all put them in the chat and she'll make sure I get them and I'll answer them as quickly as possible. So the whole goal for us today is to support our secondary English language learners. And I know that's something a lot of us struggle with because TELPAS is all online. So you'd think this year would be great for us. It gives us a really good reason to have them practice using things on the internet. But I also know a lot of teachers are struggling with the best things for that. So if you guys want to, and I suggest you do, you can scan this QR code, and I'm going to just leave that up here for a few minutes. And that way you can have access to the presentation. If you're on a regular computer and you don't want to scan a QR code, I did give you a bit.ly type of link to the presentation. And you can just type that in and bring it up and just follow along with me on this. Now, if you really love social media, I'm not the biggest fan of it. I don't use it that much, especially this year. But I do have a Twitter, and whenever I find something really interesting, I am going to try to put it on there. So let me give everybody a few minutes. All right. So let's just go ahead and jump into this. And if you need this code or anything again, I will ask somebody to maybe type it into the chat so that you can access it. Okay. So our objective for the day is learning about the different tech tools to help the EL students engage and improve their communication skills. So you're going to have the opportunity to create the accounts to the different tools that I think have helped the most. If you want to, go ahead and get your phones out though and scan the QR code. Just do a quick poll to see how everybody's feeling and what's going on. Just, you guys can share that. I'm actually getting ready to go check it on my phone. Gotta hope it works right, because I hope everybody's having a great day so far. Or maybe I'm not. Technology is great until it's not. right, I'm going to actually come back and check that in a little bit because my phone is being really slow. It's on Wi-Fi. My computer is plugged in directly. Hopefully it'll keep working. Okay, so the first tool that we're going to talk about is Padlet. I do like Padlet. It's really great for collaboration for our students. It lets them share ideas. We can comment and respond. And it didn't always do this, but now it lets the students write a response or record themselves speaking either with a video or an audio. Now, there are some problems, obviously. It's not free anymore. So I made the mistake of setting up an account after they got rid of the free, unlimited free for it. So I only have 3 on mine. So you have to pay for it every year. And it's not cheap. I think if somebody said it's like $90 a year. So it's not that bad either. But you can comment in real time. The problem is sometimes you can't keep the kids from seeing what other people have done, and that makes them less willing to speak because they don't want just anybody being able to listen to it. But it's getting better every day. So let me go ahead. I'm just going to jump to this real fast and show you how you would set this up if you don't already have one. Now, it's really easy. Today it's, okay, my computer decided to cooperate. All right, so you just click sign up for free. If you've already got it, you can just click log in. And when you sign up, you can choose Google, Microsoft, or Apple, depending on what you have. Now, I've already got an account, so I'm going to go back. Because I learned about using that login button. It doesn't always let you do it. So if I click the login button, it's going to ask me to log in with Google. This was my old account that I shared with the ESL team at Galena Park. So, but I log in and I use my Google. I'm sorry, my computer's being so slow. Like I said, unfortunately, I started after, but these are just some of the different things. These are 3 of the ones that I held on to that the kids can do. We did a revision and editing one. You can have them like explain how math problems work on it. You can see what some of my kids did. My first period has not done this one yet. They're a little behind. But you can see how some of the kids went in and all they have to do is click here and add more comments. I'm not doing that today. It's really easy. You can make it whatever you want. To create a new one, I'd have to get rid of one of mine. This is my oldest one, so I'm going to archive it. And all you have to do is click on Make a Padlet. And it comes up with all these great tools you can use. So if you want them to do a plot diagram on this or a plot timeline, you can click something like this and have them tell you what it did or have them create their own. I have mine create a lot of their own. You could do streams. I have never done a map, but a history teacher or a geography teacher most certainly could. But you can see there's a lot of options that work for a lot of different content areas, not just English. So Padlet is really something I encourage everybody to use no matter what content area they teach in. And when they do go back and record something, I'm sorry about that. I'm going to stop making the Padlet right now because I want you to see how easy it is for them to make a recording instead. So this one I actually just made 3 days ago and nobody has put much in it. I think I put one thing in there. And it gives you the option to type for the kids, or they can make a recording. So I'm going to go down here. Sorry about that. Oh, now it wants to work. My Google's finally working on my phone. And when I add a post, I can type it. That's the easy thing. But there's 3 dots, and all the kids have to do is click on this, and they can upload a file from the computer if they have one. They can do a film where they capture it. I'm not going to do that because I know that it slows everything down. Or they can record their voice. And if they click record their voice, this is what will come up. It asks for permission to use the microphone every time. And once you do that, then all they have to do is click on the record button, and they can record anything they want to explain who they are or what was happening in the story, or how they solved a math problem, how the biology teacher or chemistry teacher showed them to do something. And they can just record that for as long as you want them to talk. I always try to give mine time limits, because if I don't, they'll try to do it in 5 seconds. And then you pause it. You can play back and save, or discard and restart. I always tell them to play back and save. And I think you can hear that. If they think it's great, they can click save, and then it just shows right up somewhere on the screen. You can do different things. This particular one is set up to be where I can move them around. You can't do that on all of these Padlets, but you can on this one. I don't want to spend too much time on anything. So those are the 2 things I wanted to really point out, because people don't know you can do that on Padlet. And for those of us that work with the ESL kids, we know, at least here in Texas, that one of the things they struggle with the most is their speaking. So that's one of the reasons I set this up like this, is I wanted you to see the things that could help with that the most. Encourage them to speak in every content area, and they'll get better. So the second one is Flipgrid. And I'm probably going to guess you guys have seen this in some of your other sessions. So instead of spending too much time on this, I am going to say it is a great way for them to practice speaking. It's also good for us to model how to respond to something, or the kind of things we're looking for. You can keep it so that it is monitored and nobody can see what's on there until you say it's okay. You have to approve it. This one is completely free, and it's flexible because you can cover a lot of different things. So again, those of us worried about our ESL kids and their telepass, we can encourage them to speak to that computer for a longer time frame. They have the options of blocking if somebody sees them or not, and that makes some of them more comfortable. So it does give me some options. I'm just going to take you straight into my Flipgrid because it's super easy to sign up for it. Sorry, my computer's a little slower than I would like. Once you set up, if you don't have one, I encourage you to set one up today. It is free, like I said, and it's super easy to sign up. And I'll be honest, on all of these, I just signed up using my Google account through my district. Which saves me a whole lot of time whenever I'm working on all of my lesson plans and everything else, because I haven't got to re-enter everything. So this is what the teacher dashboard looks like. And I'm going to tell you, this is really easy to grade, because all you have to do is, oops, I can't show you those, sorry. I did not get their permission, and I don't share my kids' stuff without permission. This is one of my students from one of my classes from last year that was always like, yeah, share my stuff. I was like, okay. We always look for that. So I had my kids do things like author's purpose and detail descriptions. They had to talk about hatred versus heritage. They had to read things to me. So I'm just going to show you one of the ones where I asked them to read a list of words because it's that easy for them in some cases. And you can see he doesn't show much of his face, and he's happy that way. And I did give them a time limit. I told them they had to read them for a certain amount of time. Okay, I'm going to stop this. Okay. So I could go back. I can give him feedback with the video. I didn't because I sat there right in front of him while he was reading and talked to him then. I can add public comments, or I can keep it much more quiet, but it gives me the option for feedback where I can give him ideas, tell him how he did on it, and then give him private feedback. So they get immediate feedback from you in a lot of cases. Like I said, in his case, I didn't do that because I was listening to him. I was standing right there trying to encourage him to, stay focused. Because while he is an advanced speaker, theoretically, he hates talking to the computer. He really struggles with it. And he would do it better if I sat there next to him than if he didn't. But all of us have kids that do things like that. So you see that's got a lot of different options for things they can do. When you first view it, it'll show one view. I didn't let any of the other kids view these, so it only shows that one view from this time. They will go away. I can reset them. I can hide or make them active. I can share. I don't usually share them. And I also get the options to, as you can see, edit, activate. I can download things. If I make this, let me go here. Sorry about that. If I choose to reuse this next year, which I certainly can, I can tell them exactly what I want, give them their time limits, and click update. And then I can share it again straight to Google Classroom. If I click share, I can copy it, or I can go straight to Google Classroom. Now, if you use Schoology or Canvas or Blackboard, you will definitely want to copy it and take it straight in there like that. And I forgot to mention, you do the same thing with Padlet. I don't use Padlet as much as I use Flipgrid. I just know both of them are really, really useful for every content area. And I've seen the kids really improve a lot when they use them. Okay, in the interest of time, I'm going to go ahead because there's so many more things. I could spend all day talking about how great Flipgrid is. Okay, Screencastify and Loom. I use both of these. It depends on how long I need to talk or what I want the kids to do. I'll be honest, I send most of my students to Screencastify, and I use Loom a little bit more. Screencastify is free for the first 5 minutes. I don't think it has a limited number of recordings you can make. Loom is also free, but it doesn't have a time limit like that. You may have other screencasting or recording sites you like, and those are great too. All of them can easily be attached to Google Classroom, Schoology, Canvas, or any of the others. The kids can use it, and they can practice their speaking and get feedback, and they can also use it to do presentations. I know a lot of us use these things, and we pre-record lessons for our students. And that's a good thing, because then they can go back and listen to it over and over and over again. And that's a good thing to help them. But also then they can go back in and record a response to that, especially on Loom. So I use Loom a lot, so my kids can go back in and record a response on that for me, and I ask them to do it. Okay. So if you want to, when you download it, there are links here and here to take you to Screencastify or Loom, whichever one. If you have not tried them, I really suggest you do, because pre-recording those videos is really useful. And especially in this blended environment where sometimes the kids don't show up in our actual Google Meets or Zoom meetings, then they have them and they can go back to them. It gives us some consistency and gives them some consistency. Okay, InsertLearning. It's great when you're dealing with struggling readers like a lot of our beginner and intermediate ELs are, because you can chunk the reading. And you can make the chunks as big or as little as you want. So we can build in vocabulary, we can build in comprehension checks, we can add those questions to it that are multiple choice and short answers, so you can meet multiple Bloom's levels. The multiple choice does grade for you. I like that it grades for me because we're always really, really busy. It is a Google Chrome extension, but it's only free for the first 5 lessons. And then it's $40 a year for unlimited lessons. And I know I've been talking like longer than I planned on. Does anybody have any questions right now?
We did not have a whole lot of questions. They did say that they were having some difficulty hearing when your student was actually presenting from the screen.
Yeah.
I wanted to say there may have been a little button that we did not check to make sure that you had audio coming in from your presentation.
That's possible, but he also speaks really, really quietly. He's one of those, it's really funny, he hates to have himself recorded, but when I asked him if it was okay to share, he was like, yeah, you can share my stuff, because he knows he's grown a lot. He had grown a lot by the time he did some of these, so. That's the reason I chose him. I had a list of like 3 or 4 I knew I could use, and he was at the top of the list. So,
gotcha. Well, everybody's actually pretty, following along with the presentations. They've just been a couple of comments, but no real questions just coming in just yet.
Okay, I didn't think there would be, because most of this stuff is pretty easy. And just if they have any ideas they want to share with each other, that's great too. So now, InsertLearning, it is a Google Chrome extension. I'm going to pray really hard today that it doesn't slow down. It does need a good internet connection. I will say that. So if your Wi-Fi is a little, okay, I have InsertLearning. I don't know why it's being silly. Okay, so I have it installed already, so I can't add it again. I'm going to see if I can get it to bring up my dashboard. Because literally once you install it, because it is a Chrome extension, it has most of your stuff. But I just want you to see what I'm talking about when I say you can chunk it and use different questions. Oh, and definitely I encourage my science teachers to use this, because I know they have a lot of material to cover, and sometimes it's big and can be a little awkward. This lets them build in some vocabulary, and it also lets them break it down into sections that are good sized for the kids. So I'm actually going to use this one. This is from, I actually used this one last year. And I uploaded this one as a PDF and then opened it up as a Google Doc to do this. Okay, I don't quite know why it's having so many problems and keeps wanting me to sign in today. I don't normally have to do this. Okay. As you can see, it let me put a sticky note up here to give the kids some things to focus on and a chance to respond before they started reading. And then it lets me add in sticky notes, and I can, this is the cool part, I can record little things I want them to pay attention to on these sticky notes. I didn't do it on this one, but I can ask for little things for them to focus on and then break it down. This one's only got 4 paragraphs in it. And it can ask open-ended questions. I don't remember if I did any, I didn't do any multiple choice on this one. But you can see it gives you a lot of flexibility. And I really do encourage my science teachers especially to use that because it is super helpful for them. Okay, no red ink. Yeah, this is pretty much just for my ELA teachers. It has free options. It has free and paid options. It is a great way for our struggling language learners to practice their grammar skills because it lets them practice it. And then if they don't quite get it, it gives them little mini lessons on how to respond correctly with subject-verb agreement, pronouns, adjectives, adverbs, past tense verbs, be verbs, all kinds of tools. Again, I'm not sure how my computer is going to handle this, but I'm going to show you in a few seconds. You can use it for persuasive writing assignments or for quick writes. It's not as good for some of the other writing that we do because all of the rubrics in it are geared towards, hey, if this is your opinion and that sort of thing. So like for people, when we're not giving our opinion, we're just giving facts. It's not as, you can't do writing assignments in it, but it is a good thing. It does allow you to do diagnostics to see where your kids are sitting. And there are quizzes that will show you how well they've grown on it. The students can personalize it some by picking TV shows, books, music, and some other things that they like. Okay, it kicked me out. I was logged in earlier. But again, I sign up with everything with my school Google account. Okay, I may have to take back what I was saying about my internet being good. I thought it was going to behave for me today. Oh, and one other thing, it grades for me, so I can get some grades pretty quickly. I have things set up already, but I'm going to actually, it lets me, I'm just going to show you some of the options it'll give me because it does let me set up an assignment either as practice for writing, diagnostics and quizzes, and then skills practices that are specific towards the standards and tests for a lot of people. I find it's not as all-encompassing as I would like. But you can see if you do the writing, you can do the quick write, a guided draft, and it does give them some support, peer review, and self-review options. So if you do guided draft, this is where I start having problems because if you're not doing the persuasive, it doesn't give them, or the argumentative, it doesn't give them very good guides. That's why I wouldn't use it if I was doing, say, freshman, English 1 right now. But it does give them some really good guides. And if they need more, they can get more help. And it just walks them through what to do. And same thing for the quick write. So it's just a really good, all-encompassing, encouraging sort of program that can give them some confidence and help them to feel a little bit better about their writing. All right. It also lets me assign practices. Now, I have the free version. I don't have the paid version right now. But you can see it does parts of speech, capitalization, punctuation, phrases and clauses. I'm going to just look at commonly confused words because that's something we do a lot with our ELs. And you can see it's got a lot of options. Now, there are some that are locked, and if I paid for it, I would have access to those. Okay, so I'm going to pick one that we all know is a problem for some of ours. And it'll tell me it's one topic, and then all I have to do is, it's 5 to 10 minutes, so it's not going to be that long. Assign it as a practice. And I can import my students from Google Classroom, but you can also add them in manually. And all I have to do is click to add them or to assign them that practice. They will not appreciate me assigning them anything extra right now because they just finished one. So, but that's all you have to do. I can go back and change topics, but it does, like I said, it does grade them, which is to me probably the best part, because we are always looking for something to to cut out some of our work every day. So this is something, this is my dashboard. I had a kid that got stuck on adjective practices, the adjective practice, and he's still stuck on it. But I know why. He just kind of quit on me on that one. But I can go back and it will show me maybe who's even started it. And Sebastian's the one that did this. I didn't assign this actually to all of them because I only had one that was struggling with it. It tells you if they've gotten, what level of achievement they've gotten, if they've started it, and what grades they have. This was not my best one to choose because I didn't assign that to everybody. So let me use this one because they did a better job on this one. And it shows me their grade, how they did. She got level 4 on all of them. He did, some of these kids are in 2 classes, I think, because they changed classes on me. They got their schedules changed. But it does show me their grade. And I'm not really sure why I've got them in 2 classes, but I do. I'll have to figure that out later. But that's just some of the things you can do with No Red Ink. And they like it because it gives them quick feedback and they feel better about it. All right, so TED Talks. I do have a link for it in here. I like it because it's free. It's got a lot of topics. It helps them to practice their listening and their reading skills because they have closed captioning and transcripts in multiple languages. So you can like download the transcript and add it into InsertLearning or just give it to the kids. And then they can listen to it and hear some of the differences. So does anybody have any questions about some of this yet? Yeah, I'm going to take that as a good sign. Probably one of the best things about TED Talks is everybody can use it, and it gives them that another person's input on a topic. So they can all kind of start from the same place. I've used it whenever we're going to be covering technical texts or things that I know really they aren't familiar with because the stories are, from 1950s or 1960s. So I have used it for that, but I also use it to help build up their vocabulary, because I can put this in Edpuzzle and create videos for them and add questions in along the way. The other thing with TED Talks is that if you have there are some programs that are for language learning with TED Talks. And I think the Nat Geo Edge program has it. And there's one other one, but I can't remember what the other one is that has it. So it's got some flexibility, and it's got some really good speakers on it. Some of it's very engaging. Some of it is not, but some of it is. Okay, immersive reader. I use this whenever my kids have a bunch of stuff to read, because they can pull out a chunk they're having a hard time with, and it reads it to them. So if you don't have one of the cool textbooks that will read to the kids, this is a good way to help them out. Of course, you might also have Kurzweil, I don't know. But if you have Kurzweil or the cool textbook, you don't really need this. But it is free, and it's a good way to help them be able to hear what was on the page for them. Sorry about that. Okay, but it's a Google extension. It's easy to get. Our district has it automatically attached for our kids, so it makes it easier. Jamboard. I got turned on to Jamboard this summer, actually. I had never seen it before, but it is such a great tool for the kids to use for a lot of things. So let me be honest. I don't think I would just use this for my ELs. I would use this for any kids. If you teach younger students, maybe you can even use this for basic things like word webs and stuff. You can use it to help them learn how to build sentences. And you can help them, they can collaborate with each other. You can get them to like really come up with different ideas to help with different things. And like I said, I just got turned on to this summer, so I'm still learning stuff about it, but my kids have really engaged in it, and I've watched some of them like start to work on developing better vocabulary because they want to work together on these things. So they're working and helping each other out, and it's been pretty useful so far. I have done a couple of different things, and I even shared with somebody about how it could help them to do, because they were worried about their kids not knowing how to put a sentence together, and I showed them how they could use that. I do have let me see if I can get to that very quickly. I'm just hoping my internet doesn't give me any more trouble. No, of course. Technology is great until it's not. I'm cheating on that one because I actually use this talking to my kids about revision and editing, and this is what they came up with. As you can see, the different colored sticky notes were different kids. I don't know why they didn't put their names on it, but that's okay. It's only one picture, but I just put revision and editing, and then they played with things on it. But probably the most useful one is my kids actually helped me with this one, which was a sentence building one, because I could just create text boxes and put different words in there, and then they could move them around. This is what we came up with finally. So as you can see, each one of them is a separate text box. And they played with it until they made their own sentence for it. I had some other ones that I didn't finish up on that one, but the kids made their own Jamboards too after that. That's okay. That's what they're supposed to do. Google Meets. I know a lot of you guys are using Google Meets right now. Now, here's the good thing about Google Meets. It has a translator option and closed captioning options. But if you are recording and you're trying to use the translator or the closed captioning, sometimes it freezes and it can't record anymore. It'll kick you out. But for us, it's a beneficial thing because we're a Google district. So it saves everything automatically to Google Drive, and we can load them back up in Google Classroom for the kids that missed it. All right, so Google Slides and PowerPoint. You can get a lot of different templates online. They're easy to personalize, and they don't take a lot of work from us. I have my kids using them as a digital dictionary. They also use them for different presentations that they create. And I wonder if I put it in here. I think I did. I think this is their digital dictionary. You can also, you guys can use this if you want, because I think it's a great dictionary for them. They can even do notebooks on these Google Slides or the PowerPoints now. So that I think is really important. I just saved the dictionary one in here. And it comes with directions. Once they make that copy, they can personalize this. And I'm going to own up, the ESL department in Galena Park made this, and I just tweaked some parts of it to make it work better for my kids. Got to give them credit. Tracy Schmidt is largely responsible for this being as awesome as it is. Because this way, they have a table of contents. There we go. And if they click on any letter here, they can go straight to wherever that would be in the presentation. And they can add the word, then they can add definitions, the part of speech it is, a short video, an image, lots of different things. They can even put in a voice recording, or maybe type in an example of how they would use that word. So Google Slides has some really great tools for us to use, and it's really easy for us. Once they set it up, we can just let them go with it. And I haven't had to do that much with them since that. Okay, last thing, student websites. We use Google Sites. I know some people use Wix, but it lets the kids access it from pretty much anywhere. And as you know, you can set up a site to have as a portfolio. It can be where they house all of their assignments that you're going to want to look at or that you want to share. You can put projects on there. You can put that digital dictionary on there. You can put their essays on there, and they can personalize it and make it what they want. Okay, so this is not actually necessarily a tool for them, but because they are not face-to-face with us, and even when they are, we're wearing those masks, the Bitmoji just gives us something fun to help connect with them. My kids kind of get a kick out of it. The one time I forgot to put Bitmoji on a slide, they asked me if I was sick that day. So they enjoy it, and it does make it easier for them to connect. And connection really is the name of the game for us and for all of our students. So, all right. So does anybody have any questions?
No questions so far.
Awesome.
Yes.
Because I don't know if I was like, I want questions or if I wanted them to understand it. So, because I know this has been an interesting time of year, and I just hope they got some good tools out of it. So, okay, if you guys want to contact me about other things I've ever done with these tools that I may have forgotten about, or if you maybe have ideas, you can certainly email me, or you can reach out to me on Twitter. I'm always trying to get better as a teacher, because while I've been doing this for a little while, we can always learn more from each other. So there's a Google form. Again, you can scan the code or click there to complete the form. And I think, oh, good. I finished up in time. I was worried about that. But if anybody, y'all don't have any more questions.
There is a question about, she was just curious. Mary was curious as to why students have the most trouble with speaking. Do you want me to answer that, or do you want to answer that?
You know what? I'm going to give you my input on it first, and then I would love to hear what you have to say too from your observations, because you may have you've probably been doing this longer than me. This don't trust that white hair up there, because I've had that since I was 14. Okay.
Yeah.
So one of the things I've noticed with my kiddos is they're embarrassed a lot of times. I have one who's a beginner. He's right out of new arrival center, and he doesn't want people to pick on him because his language skills aren't great yet. So he's embarrassed to talk. But on top of it, they're on a computer, and that's also hard. I mean, I'm sitting here and not rambling, but talking to you guys about all these different tools, but I'm also not 14 years old. And then I would say probably the third reason that they really struggle is the TELPAS test on the speaking part asks them really some questions that a native English speaker would probably answer in 5-10 seconds. And they really want the kids to speak for somewhere between 45 seconds and 90 seconds, depending on what the prompt is. So that, I think, is really hard for them. So we have to teach them to speak in way more detail than what native speakers would normally do. Jeanette Mercer may disagree with me on that part, but and teach them to use more details and more words, and to speak longer than what we do as native speakers. I would love to hear what she has to say, though, because I know she's been doing this a little longer than me.
I know that you're right about kids being embarrassed. I've worked in elementary setting, and I've also worked in middle school setting. And in elementary, kids are not embarrassed. They're more vocal. And in the elementary setting, it's a lot of collaboration, or it used to be back in the old days before the pandemic. A lot
back
of
in the day, right?
A lot of talk and turn, but a lot of times the turn and talks were very like, who's the main character? Okay, Goldilocks. That's just one answer. We need to get them to elaborate. I actually had the opportunity to work with TEA on the listening and speaking TELPAS questions, like field questions. And most of the, in order to get advanced or advanced high, most of them are comparing and contrasting things. Using academic vocabulary. So if you have a copy of the ELPS, you want to look at the latter ELPS, because they're kind of, as the letter goes up, so is the rigor. So A, like listening or speaking A, would be an easier ELP. And then if you go to like H, it's more like compare, summarize, using the vocabulary. So if students, they can be a chatterbox and be an intermediate student. Just because they talk a lot doesn't mean that they're using academic vocabulary. So a lot of times it's across Texas, the speaking as part of TELPAS. We just really need to get them to elaborate on their answers and scaffolding them and helping them, but to get them to speak.
In adding on to that, I've also noticed that, if they asked me why somebody didn't do something, my answer would be pretty concise, even if I was comparing it. But trying to get the kids to support what they're saying too, adding in that detail and the elaboration is so important. I know
the great tools that you shared, like Flipgrid and the Padlet, getting them to use these digital tools to record themselves speaking, and then providing that immediate feedback to them so they can improve and always get better.
Right.
And remember, even in some of those tools, you can actually do that so that they're not actually being seen by others. So that's the thing with them, especially when they're new at this, they don't feel like they want other people to be able to see them or to hear them. So they are able to know that, okay, this can be that conversation between you and I,
Mhm.
but I just need you to start talking back to me. I want to hear your voice. I know
Yep.
you have, a ton to say, but I need to hear you.
And Mary,
And
if you're from North Carolina, you probably do, or y'all probably use the WIDA. Most states in the United States use WIDA, but of course, Texas is
yeah,
their own usually. So we have the
we're
Telfast
our
here, which is
own.
yeah, it's very similar to WIDA. So and very similar
Yeah,
to the other language. These are for ESL students. So English is a second language. So
and and I do have a student this year who's Filipino, and I've had them that speak French, and but the same thing applies no matter if it's a Spanish, French, Filipino. Uh, I haven't had any Korean yet, but it would be the same thing because they just, especially the older they are, if they're in ninth grade when they come here, this is going to be hard for them.
And guys, I do want to tell you because our session has ended, but that super secret code has been scrolling across the bottom. So this session, it was
Woohoo!
empower. So guys, we do have another one. So all of that great content information that she's sharing, she does have, Miss Janet has
Yeah,
another session. So feel free if you want to jump back
it's
in
going to be the
and
same
see.
stuff, but
So we can actually keep learning from her. So make sure you come back and you have one more session for the day. Enjoy the
yep.
rest of your time here at TCCA.